do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun, as it's hard to believe we're going into the final weekend of National Football League regular season play, and it's even crazier to say that the playoffs start next week. Playoffs, that's right, the playoffs start next week. Bowl season winding down. College football playoffs dialing and ramping up. But we've got a bunch of games going off the board right now in a bunch of different sports. So let's get started. Let's get started in the NBA, actually, as the Memphis Grizzlies having a great year this year. But like always, the Memphis Grizzlies have injury problems, shorthanded once again tonight. No Marcus Smart, no Ja Morant, and they're in Sacramento tonight. They've been on the road as well throughout the holiday, post-Christmas, after Christmas, like 27, 28, 29th, into New Year's, now continuing. I got to imagine that they're starting to get a little bit frustrated by being on the road right now. Meanwhile, Sacramento, of course, fired their coach, Brown out, Christie in. They lost the first 2 games, I believe it was, with Christie, but they've won their last 2 games. Remember, we jumped in on the Kings. They hadn't won a game yet when they were playing the Dallas Mavericks. We jumped in game, and they won the game. Then they won again the other night. So Sacktown riding a 2-game win streak. They're 3-point favorites in this game. The money line is minus 160. I kind of think Sacramento, I don't love it, but I think Sacramento are the play if you're looking to play this basketball game. Listen, Memphis are pretty good without Ja Morant, but it's not just Ja Morant. They're shorthanded tonight. You know, that's why the Kings are 3-point favorites. And I can live with it. You know, they've won without him, right? I mean, they're 9-5 straight up this year without Ja Morant. And we've seen in the past they've been able to win, but they have a ton of injuries, and it's at the back end of a trip throughout the holidays. If it was just a regular road trip, you know what I mean, it wouldn't be the same, but I got to imagine starting to upset them a little bit, being on the road this long through the holiday. So, you know, Sacramento, we've got a good one coming up later with the Atlanta Hawks and the Los Angeles Lakers. You know, with all the talk about the Lakers and Charles Barkley calling them out and calling J.J. Redick out and saying that the Lakers suck and all this, Lakers are 6-1 straight up in their last 7 basketball games. Lakers did play last night. I want to take the Atlanta Hawks here. I wish we were getting more than 2.5 points in this game. You know, the Grizzlies and the Kings total is high at 242.5. Let's, we'll stand courtside and see how it plays out in game. But the Hawks and Lakers, I get the feeling will be a track meet, and this is an attainable number at 234. It's actually gone up a little bit. I liked it better at 232.5. Man, I wish we were getting more with the Hawks, but teams get fired up when they go into Los Angeles. The Lakers played last night, albeit at home, against Portland, so they're going back-to-back this evening. We can get into that game in a couple of minutes. We got time for that tip-off. NHL hockey, dropping a puck in Vancouver in a couple of moments. Last night, we watched the Vancouver Canucks and the Seattle Kraken game live on the show, along with the bowl game and all the other action last night. And the Vancouver Canucks got a gutsy win last night. Wasn't easy. The Kraken tied the game late. It went to overtime. It went into a shootout. The Vancouver Canucks win the hockey game in a shootout. Now they're playing back-to-back, and the odds makers really, really don't like the Vancouver Canucks tonight. This is a wild number. Like, the Nashville Predators are minus 200 favorites in Vancouver. Number one, the Nashville Predators aren't that good. All right? Number two, okay, the Vancouver Canucks played last night. And they played, it should be noted, in Seattle, which is the closest possible road trip from Vancouver, if you're, like, seriously. But the Vancouver Canucks, like, they can get stuck in traffic after a home game and take as long to get home as the flight was back from Seattle last night. Like, it took them probably about 37 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know how much fatigue comes into play, but it should be noted. Why is the number? Listen, I think it's a great, way gross, great overreaction. Minus 200 is insane. You're getting plus 165 on the money line with the Canucks, although I like the Canucks plus a puck and a half. The Canucks do this a lot. Like, if the Canucks, put it this way, if the Canucks are going to lose, they'll lose in overtime. Like, they really are the kings of getting points in every game, this team. Like, it's like, oh, that was disappointing. We blew the lead. Oh, my God. And it's like, yeah, you still got a point. You know, like, the Canucks get points in almost every game that they play in, right? Even when they lose, they manage to get a point out of it. So you're getting a puck and a half. I like Lankinen over 26.5 saves, and that's another thing. Their starting goalie, Demko, is out. Now, Demko started last night. He didn't get through the game. He got hurt. Demko always gets hurt, and so he got hurt. But the thing is, Lankinen, I think there's a public perception, or at least with the odds makers, that, well, and now Demko's hurt. There's no Quinn Hughes. There's no Elias Pettersson, right? Like, the Canucks are missing, like, star players. I'm not going to dispute it. But they're also a very deep team, right? Like, they still have JT Miller. They still have Brock Besser. They still have Connor Garland, right? Like, their third and fourth line guys are very good. Like, their goalie is super good. Their backup goalie, there's really not much of a drop-off between Demko and Lankinen, to be honest. So I think, like, you're actually getting value here with the Vancouver Canucks in this game, and they've just dropped the puck right now. They weren't playing around. The Edmonton Oilers leading the Anaheim Ducks right now 1-0. College football, as I stated, the bowl season is winding down, and the Duke's Mayo Bowl continues right now. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are up 21-10 in this football game. They're looking for more. We're sort of in nowhere's land right now. I've got 10 points in this game with Virginia Tech, and I've got the over 43. In-game total is 43.5 right now. I've got my concerns if Virginia Tech are going to be able to score again in this game. And it looks like Minnesota are 28-10 will just be that exact nowhere's land. It's currently 16.5 for Minnesota right now. So we'll keep our eye on this. We'll talk about tomorrow's bowl game. And in fact, it's done. Bowl Mania is done. We got the college football playoffs still. You have the FCS championship game on Monday. But the bowl season comes to a close tomorrow in the Bahamas with Buffalo and Liberty. And I don't know what Buffalo or Liberty did to deserve to get that trip to the Bahamas. I don't really understand why that game always gets bad teams. They're playing in Atlantis. It's freaking beautiful. You're staying in a casino property. Right? What's there not to like about it? Well, you know what I mean? Like I saw the scene, and sometimes there's bad weather there, and it's raining and stuff, or there's like a tropical storm, and it has been raining in the past, but today it was like one of those picture-perfect days in Atlantis, and I thought, dear God, like, what the hell? Like, Liberty were one of the biggest disappointments in college football this year. Buffalo were lucky to be in a bowl game, and you guys get a trip to the Bahamas, and other kids are going to Montgomery, Alabama. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, life isn't always fair, is it? So as we say to the Minnesota Golden Gophers, looks like they're going to have like a 4th down and short coming up here. They'll probably go for it. They're up 21-10. So as I stated, we're in nowhere's land right now. I basically just want, I've got more on the total than I do on Virginia Tech. I just want 2 more touchdowns in this game. I really don't care at this point who scores them. So if Minnesota scores here, fine. I'd like the Gophers to score here. And then we'll have basically a full quarter for either Virginia Tech to turn it over and put the Gophers in good territory or something to happen. Let's rock. The Friday Night Free Show has begun. This is Sports Rage. Bring it.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, Sirius XM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks. We have some finals that are just coming in right now from the college basketball hardwood. We only posted one college basketball pick for you tonight online, and that was the Georgetown Hoyas. And the Georgetown Hoyas have just beaten Xavier. They win the basketball game. It wasn't easy. Was it 68-63 final score? Might have been 69. Let me get it for you. But Georgetown wins the game, albeit barely. They were leading all night, but it got close. It got close late. And don't look now, but the Georgetown Hoyas, these guys are off and running this year. Yeah, they hit another free throw. 69-63 final score, Hoyas. And Michigan State just won 69-62 at Ohio State. Ohio State can't win at everything. And Ohio State actually beat the Michigan Wolverines earlier in the day on the ice at Wrigley Field. They have a big hockey tournament going on, college hockey right now. Minnesota just hit a field goal, 24-10 for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. 12 minutes left in the football game. Total comes down to 41.5. And the Gophers are currently laying 14.5. As I stated, it's pretty much nowhere's land right now for Virginia Tech backers and the over. Although they are just one drive away from covering the number at plus 10, I don't know if their offense is going to be able to do it. You know, they hit a 60-yard field goal in this game. They scored an early touchdown. They really have had a hard time moving the football. So I think the Virginia Tech aspect could be done. I'm going to hope that somehow we can squeeze out another 10 points. Another touchdown and a field goal is a possibility in this game. And there's a bunch of NHL going on, including the Vancouver Canucks, the shorthanded Vancouver Canucks, I might add. No Quinn Hughes tonight, no Elias Pettersson, playing a back-to-back. Thatcher Demko injured as well. But the number at minus 200 was just insane. Nashville already down to minus 170 right now because we haven't had any goals scored in the first 4 minutes of this game. So there's a lot of stuff going on here in the late night hours. We got more basketball going on. How you doing, Cam?
Hey, Gabe, how you doing? I'm also agree with everything you said. Nashville shouldn't be laying that number. So I took the under in this hockey game, too. Vancouver's played a lot of hockey, and I think they want to kind of slow this game down. It's 5.5 live. I still clicked it again. I think this game is going to be lower scoring than anticipated, and you can't lay that juice with Nashville. I don't know who you're on in this football game. I need a few more points. I'm on Minnesota, but I got the over in this football game right now. Good call on Georgetown. I rode your wave with the Hoyas. Hot team.
Yeah, and current college basketball right now, we're at the half, or I should say the second half has just started, and Marquette were laying like 9.5, 10 in this game against Creighton. I thought the number was a little high. I didn't bet it before the game started. I did jump in on Creighton. I got 9.5. Now they're getting 11.5 because Marquette scored the first basket of the second half, so it popped back up to 11.5. But I think Creighton can hang in this game. Number feels a little bit high. We've had a wild one going on in the NBA tonight, and the Knicks were up by double digits on Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City were getting like 6.5, 7.5. They were down by 15. And I was thinking, man, they're going to go on a run. They've gone on such a run that now they're minus 7.5 point favorites in the game. They're up 110-103 with a minute left. And basketball that just tipped off, as I stated at the start of the show, Memphis, another shorthanded team. Everyone's shorthanded in every sport. Memphis shorthanded tonight in Sacramento. Sacramento are currently minus 165 on the money line. That's what it was before the game started, Cam. And do you have any NBA basketball action going on here in the late night hours?
I took the Thunder, Gabe, and you're right. I couldn't believe the live number. They were getting thumped, and now they're up 7 points in that game. That looks good.
Gabe, go. Oh, they tackled them. Son of a. Virginia Tech just popped a big play. Like all the way.
There we go.
All the way down to the 10 or 15 yard line. Problem is their offense struggles. So it's one of these deals where you almost, when you see the guy, when you get a chance for a big play, when you're having an offense that's having a hard time scoring, they just ran a nice little trick play and they popped it down the sideline. Man, if the kid just could have made it, because now it's going to be a circus trying to get it in the end zone. They're actually only like the 20-yard line, too. It's not going to be easy to get this in now.
I don't understand what's going on, and you follow the NBA as much as anybody, but I've just been documenting these things. The Washington Wizards, every one of their games goes over 255 points. Again, they're playing the Pelicans. It's 130-115. You want to talk about a team with overs and no defense? The Wizards are your team. It's unbelievable. They can't make a total high enough. It's nuts.
Well, they don't try. That's why.
I'm just saying though, like
on defense. I mean, they don't on offense. They try on offense. They try to score, but they don't play. They don't play defense. But like you said, those are the two worst teams battling for like the top pick in the NBA draft. Like the Pelicans have only won 5 games coming in tonight. The NBA standings are like whacked out. People really haven't paid attention much to the NBA this year. You know, with football going on, people are so critical of the NBA. It's an overreaction, right? The NBA, the thing is, the NBA's, the NFL and college football have like spread their seasons out so long now. Like college football used to be done, man, like New Year's Day. It was over. There was none of this, there's a college football playoff, blah, blah. It was over on New Year's Day. That was it. And then people voted, and it was over with. Then it sort of started, it ended on January 9th. Now it's January 20th. The Super Bowl used to be the last Sunday in January. Now it's like the second Sunday in February. Soon it'll be the third Sunday in February. It's all cuts into sort of the NBA's time in a way. But the NBA will take center stage once football stops, and people will watch the NBA playoffs. And all that, but the standings are whacked out in the Western Conference. Like Oklahoma City, Memphis, and the Houston Rockets are the best teams in the conference.
It's amazing.
But
it's true.
Will they win in the playoffs is another story. You know, like I'm not saying Oklahoma City can't, and Memphis are always hurt. I think Oklahoma City are actually kind of for real, but all these young teams, they have to prove it in the postseason. All right, Joe Gibbs, the ref guru, steps up in it. Let's roll.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes with the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest up. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. Virginia Tech popped a big play, and I said, man, you got to end up getting into the end zone. Otherwise, they're going to have big trouble. And here we go, big trouble. They picked up 2 yards after that play. That was their shot to pop it into the end zone. And here they're down. They're down 14, so they're not going to kick a field goal. They're going to go for it here on 4th and 7 coming up. So it's basically all or nothing, and I'm assuming it's going to end up being nothing. I hate that. Like, there's so many times it. Like if you're on a team and they're struggling offensively and there's a big play, a punt return, a kick return, and they popped it, or it looks like an interception or something like that, and if they don't go all the way, they're not going to score after. That's exactly what happened. They just had a massive play. The kid nearly popped it all the way. If he just could have gotten past that last player, would have been a touchdown. It'd be 24-17 right now. Instead, they went 4 plays and they picked up 2 yards. And basically, we're in nowhere's land right now in this game. So the Minnesota Golden Gophers up 24-10, in control, getting the football back. We're going to need a turnover or some sort of miracle for a Virginia Tech cover. And the over is quickly slipping away right now. And that's the problem. That drive also was a nice drive to Virginia Tech, getting it down to the 20. But it took time off the clock. There's under 9 minutes left right now. But let's get into some NFL football. It's the final weekend of play. Let's bring in our NFL ref stat guru. You can find him on Twitter X, NFL Ref Stats 1, Joe Gibbs, and Sharp Football in the house. Joe, it's always a pleasure. Happy New Year. How you doing tonight, Joe?
Good, guys. How you doing?
We're doing good. Well, you know what? I'll be doing better if this football game.
Yeah.
And what I don't like about it, too, all these sponsors, like, the Pop-Tart Bowl makes me want to go buy a box of Pop-Tarts. The Duke's Mayo Bowl makes me never want to eat mayonnaise ever again, for the rest of my life. I don't I get it, guys. So you want to push your product, but making the announcers dip ice cream bars in mayonnaise and having them basically throw up, and I don't know, maybe I'm an old school marketer, but this doesn't make me want to test your product. Like, they got vats of this stuff, and they're stirring it up. It's like, dude, it's disgusting.
It looks like
you have a nice Pop-Tart. You got a Pop-Tart mascot. Yeah, it's fine. Hey, give me a Pop-Tart. I don't want, mayonnaise everywhere. Just, we get it. You're the sponsor of the damn game. You don't have to force it down our throat as much.
Excellent point, Morency.
I wonder what metrics they had that made him come to this decision to sponsor this. Like, clearly there's something financially motivating to do so.
Yeah,
well,
Joe, they're really
people talk about it.
To Gabe's point, they've
People
done like
like
9 different things. Like they've done, the announcer's trying this with this pizza and this new tangy mayonnaise they got. Gabe's right. They're dipping ice cream, Haagen-Dazs bars in mayonnaise. Like, enough is enough. I like mayo as much as the next guy. Hell, it's a great condiment for French fries. But Gabe's right. You don't have to show it 13 times with 13 different products. Gabe, the whole thing's been an infomercial for mayo. The game has sucked, though.
Well, they are definitely... They are definitely, and maybe if I was covering, I wouldn't be as angry about it. But they're getting a bang for their buck. No one can dispute it. People like they started it. They like the dumping the mayo on the winning coach. So people like all that aspect of it. Hey, it is what it is. If people, they're gonna have a good time with it. But for me, I'm just getting repulsed. I'm like, dear God, man, enough. I don't want to it's enough. It's enough mayonnaise right now. All right. So these bowl games. And this game was like a lot of them. Earlier today we had an 18-point favorite that ended up winning by 2. It's a tough handicap for the odds makers. And Joe, the final weekend of the NFL regular season is a tough. It's tough for the bettors. It's tough for the lines makers as well. And I never imagined I'd see a point spread of 20 in a National Football League game. But that's what we have for this Cleveland Brown and a Raven game.
Yeah, it's a brutal week. I mean, it's unfortunate there's not a few more games that have some real meaning to them, but that's the way it rolls. And at least we got 2 decent games, Sunday night and Saturday night. Apart from that, it's slim pickings, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the bowl season is winding down as well. So first up is Cleveland and Baltimore. Scott Novak is the crew. Novak's crew called just 35% of third down penalties on defense, well below the league average of 48%. Divisional home teams, 12-20 and 1 against the spread. So I got to tell you, we'll hit this on the other side with Joe, but this is one of these games. I really do just want to take the Cleveland Browns and not watch the game and just sort of look at the score after of the game. Like, it's 20 points. I mean, hell, it's 20 points. Don't forget, if Baltimore get up, they can pull their starters. They don't need to win by margin.
Good call.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their third straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes, the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Holy sweet Maria. The Virginia Tech Hokies are back in this football game right now. And they just intercepted the quarterback. They picked Minnesota off. And they keep on switching quarterbacks, Virginia Tech. The kid just came in and threw it like 118 miles an hour. Basically, I don't know how it was caught. And it was super low. The tight end came sliding in, made an epic catch at the 4-yard line. And now this is what I'm worried about. All right, can you finish it off? They're on the 5. They just lost the yard on first down. So it's 2nd and goal from the 5-yard line. Come on, kids. You're on the 5-yard line, man. Punch this in. And Minnesota's defense looks big, man. You got some big dudes on that D-line. All right, Von Tech, figure it out. You got to run a little trick play, misdirection, something. Just run the damn quarterback. That's not going to work, kid, running sideways. Yeah, he just lost. He just lost 15 yards and fumbled the football. See, I told you, it's torture, this game.
These guys
it's torture
are
what Virginia Tech's doing.
It really is. This offense reeks. That's awful.
You're on the 4-yard line.
Twice.
I think they got the ball back, but whatever, man. It's set 3rd and goal from the 25-yard line right now. Mm-hmm. This is torture. They've done this twice in the last 5 minutes. I don't even know if he's down, actually. I don't know. You know what? It'd be better if he's down.
You're right.
And at least they'll lose less yards. Because I think they got the ball back anyways. They're saying that his knee was down. Now they're switching quarterbacks on every play. This coach, you're not helping the situation here, bro. Right. All right, there's your trick play. I like it. All right, and it gets basically nothing. Oh boy! So now it's 4th and goal from the 12. God, this is hard.
First there as he turns the corner, Gabe. That's no trick play. That's crap. That was horrible.
Yeah, but they should have did this play when they were on the 4-yard line.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They just, you know what I mean? And they screwed it up. You just know they're going to screw it up. This would take a serious miracle here. 4th and goal for a useless team on offense that can't do anything from the 14-yard line.
How's the ACC doing, Gabe? See their record in bowl games? It reeks. Yeah. Worst conference going.
I think they're 2-10.
2-11 after this.
There it is. He threw an interception.
Man, these guys.
Come on, return it for a touchdown at least. No, and of course, he gets taken down. Oh, God, this is torture.
He was really motoring.
That's a rough one. That's a rough one. Terrible pass. The cover was right there twice for Virginia Tech. They couldn't finish it off. I think I should probably change it to start watching NHL hockey and NBA basketball. Now, speaking of which, I like the Lakers and the Hawks to go over the number. So, Scott Novak's crew, Joe, what should we expect here of this football game? Like I said, it's a monster point spread. Baltimore don't need style points. This isn't college football. They just need to win the football game. But Cleveland are just so bad right now. And it's hard to bet on Bailey Zappi.
Right. Yeah, Novak's going to focus more on the offensive side of the ball. And Cleveland's one of the most penalized offenses in the league. They're number one for pre-snap penalties. So, the way he calls the game doesn't bode well for the Browns. And like you said, they're just a bad team. They're kind of a joke of a franchise. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
They really are.
Yeah, it's just, Baltimore should win. Whether they cover the points bet, I don't know. But Novak's going to make an emphasis on the offensive side of the ball. I can tell you that much. So maybe the under. I don't even know what the total is, but yeah, it's not hard to get excited about the game.
Joe,
41 right now. It's 41.
Okay, so his crew does trend under, so, maybe that's the way to look. What's Cleveland going to give you? 6 points, 9 points, maybe 10?
Yeah.
3-6, you're right.
Yeah, like 13 is their max.
You know what, though?
If they get lucky.
23-6, you got a nice cover. You know what I mean? Like, even 24-6, 21-3, although I could see Baltimore winning like 35-3. Like I said, it's a tough, really, really tough game. But as I noted, similar situation with Denver, guys. Denver just need the win. They don't need to win by 11 points, the football game. All right, let's get into Saturday night's game here, Joe. This is one of the good ones. The Bengals. I like the way the schedule is set up. That the Bengals, they're going to need to win, and then they're just going to kick back and watch what happens on Sunday. But we got our boy John Hussey refereeing this football game. Division home teams are 44-15 straight up. Wow, 74%. 40-17-2 against the spread. 70% cover rate with this referee crew. Best home field advantage in a National Football League in divisional games. Is all this enough to stop the Pittsburgh Steelers losing streak, though? What are your thoughts on this crew and how it affects the football game?
Well, you just outlined what they are. They're a great home field advantage crew, so that certainly shapes up nicely for the Steelers. I've gone against Pittsburgh the last 3 weeks. All that talk of Mike Tomlin, as a dog. Well, he was a dog against the Eagles, he was a dog against the Ravens, and he was a dog against the Chiefs, and he lost all three. So that's kind of, that's true. So he's a dog again this week. Great referee crew. Hussey's crew, they're not going to call a lot of penalties. They're going to try to let them play. But when they do call penalties, they've shied away from the offensive holding false start calls and put more emphasis on the defensive pass interference, defensive holding penalties. Cincinnati.
So that could be points, Joe. If you're gonna, the NFL, not like college 15 in the end zone, all this other stuff. That's the thing. If they're gonna call defensive PIs, and Cincinnati's D, Gabe, they're a little bit porous, and Pittsburgh hasn't been playing well. Maybe we look at an over in this game, despite these teams.
But I'll tell you one thing, guys. We know the Baltimore Ravens are winning, right? So that that means the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to rest their starters as this game goes on. I know Tomlin said, "Oh, we play to win, and we want to go into the playoffs." He doesn't want to go into the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak. I get that, but if Baltimore roll, I think this number could move too, guys, as well. Like I like Cincinnati in this game. You know what I mean? I know Pittsburgh are locked into the playoffs. Baltimore are going to win the game. It's going to be a meaningless game when it's all said and done for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm my heart. I want Cincinnati to win. I'd like to see them sneak into the playoffs just to see what they could do. I guess first thing for them is
they're going to play my Buffalo Bills.
Oh,
I don't want to see them get in the playoffs. Let's let the Dolphins get in with Huntley here.
Remember the last time Cincinnati went to Buffalo? They punched him in the face. That was one of the Bills' worst playoff games ever. Scary. I don't want to see him either.
But the Dolphins actually are the ones with the better chance, at least, than the Bengals. The Bengals need the Dolphins to lose to the Jets, and they need the Broncos to lose. All the Dolphins need, they just need the Broncos to somehow lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. But as far as this crew on Saturday night, how do you think it plays out, Joe? How does it impact the football game?
Well, I can tell you one thing, and this has been a point of emphasis the last few weeks. All these post-play celebration penalties, taunting, unsportsmanlike conduct. These guys don't tolerate that type of thing. So keep an eye on that tomorrow night. Unsportsmanlike conduct, they've led the league 4 of the last 6 seasons calling this penalty, and nobody's called more of that particular penalty category the past 6 years than Hussey. So keep an eye on George Pickens, Jamar Chase, see what happens after some of these plays.
Oh, Pickens is made for that.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. Rattle his cage. No, yeah, you're right.
Hey, let me ask you, Joe. Yeah, let me ask you, Joe. Am I crazy to see, I've never seen a season with so many ineligible men and offensive linemen downfield penalties called before. You want to talk about a point of emphasis. They never used to call this before. You know what I mean? Right. Unless it was, blatant and stuff. But, man, they call it all the time now.
Yeah, they do, and I don't get why, because it doesn't – to me, it doesn't seem to impact the game. Right.
No,
right.
You got some big, fat offensive lineman down the field on the left side of the field. Who cares, bro? It has nothing to do with anything.
Right, I agree. I've spoke to Warren Sharp about this. It makes no sense. It's not impacting the game. It just slows everything down. I'll be interested in the playoffs. They get rid of it.
All right, we'll hit the Vikings and Lions and more on the other side.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes with the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3 here. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. An extremely frustrated Morency. Oh, boy. Whatever. We hit the earlier bowl game today. You're not going to win them all. This one was just a tough one with Virginia Tech getting to the 4-yard line and having 1st and goal. All we needed is 1 touchdown. Call it a wrap at 24-17. We cover the number. But it's a cold world. Minnesota just picked up a 1st down, and looks like they're just going to kill the clock from here on out. Speaking of the clock, 20 minutes have passed by. That was a fast first period of play in Vancouver. Nashville and the Canucks scoreless after the first period of play. The Edmonton Oilers are up on the Anaheim Ducks right now, 2-1 after 2 periods of play. The NFL Ref Guru, NFL Ref Stats 1 on X. Joe Gibbs kicking it with us. So, yeah, you said it, Joe. You've been betting against the Steelers. Are you going to bet against them another time here? I'm going to take the Bengals in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've come off a murderer's row schedule. Their defense is not what it was. And you got Cincinnati coming in. They're running hot. I mean, they need the game like blood. Like you said, what's Pittsburgh's motivation necessarily? So it's one of those in-game opportunities as well on a lot of these games, just to see what the lay of the land is. But gun to my head, I'm on Cincinnati.
Cam, what's your pick? Cincinnati or Pittsburgh?
I got Pittsburgh +3. I don't mean to go against you guys. I just think that Tomlin and the Steelers need to get it right before the playoffs. But you guys bring up good points about what's going to happen with the earlier game. I just will say this. I think Pickens changes the whole offense. They played some very difficult teams with elite defenses. The one thing Cincinnati doesn't have is an elite defense, despite Fredrickson and a couple good players on the line. They're secondary reeks. So I think these teams can trade punches, and I'll take the dog in this spot, Gabe. Know what I would do with this game? If you like Cincinnati winning margin 1-6, if you like Pittsburgh 1-6, I expect it to be a very close game.
Jamar Chase, I'm gonna go over this after actually, but there's a lot. Listen, almost every player in the National Football League has some sort of bonus in his contract if he gets this, if he gets that. So you can't bet every single one of them. I understand that, but there's a couple of them that are pretty interesting, actually. Like Von Miller gets $1 million with 1 sack. I wanted to get Jamar Chase up. Mike Evans as well. Mike Evans gets $2 million. Like $2 million that's real money for anybody, right? Like the Shohei Ohtani wouldn't care, but if you're Mike Evans, you're in the NFL, not going to play forever. I think it's $2.5 million. He needs to get 5 catches and 85 yards. And Baker, they're going to do it. They need the win, so they're not going to ease up. They're going to go hard with him early. There's a couple other players where it falls into line with their bonuses. And, like I said, you can't bet them all. There's 50 of them. There's a list of them. There's a couple of them that stand out. We'll go over them after. But let's get to that, the Sunday Nighter. I imagine, Joe, that the NFL... so Brad Rogers is the referee of this game, but he ranks number 1 for defensive pass interference and also number 1 for offensive pass interference. Wow. I would have imagined that they would have wanted to assign a referee to this game and sort of let the players play.
Right, and we were discussing that this morning. Despite all these penalties that I've gone through with this crew, do they try and pull back on Sunday night and stay out of the way? That remains to be seen. But those are the numbers. They call a ton of defensive pass interference, but also they even things out with offensive pass interference penalties. So they do focus on the perimeter more than most. Whether they call them Sunday night, I don't know. But those are the numbers, and we'll see what happens.
The Vikings offense is the number 1 beneficiary of automatic first downs via penalties in the National Football League, as Joe writes. And I can't help but just think about Terrion Arnold, who is a good young football player, but he's also a walking flag, Joe, as well. So, this could go both ways, but the Minnesota receivers are more dangerous, vertically, right? The Lion guys sort of go sideways and stuff like that. You're going to have Addison and Jefferson literally just going straight down the field. I think this is sort of advantage Minnesota with this crew. Just maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but I think it lines up well for Minnesota.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Minnesota and Cincinnati, they almost mirror each other from a penalty perspective as far as beneficiaries of all those automatic first downs by defensive pass interference, defensive holding. You think about it, you got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins for Cincinnati, you got Addison and Jefferson for Minnesota. So they air it out, they get these beneficial calls, move the chains, pick up free yardage. But here's the thing, and I wrote it in my write-up. Vikings, number 6 penalized team for pre-snap penalties. The Lions ranked 32nd, and that's huge. Detroit is so efficient at not having those false starts, illegal shifts, illegal motions. Minnesota, that can be a problem for them. So on Sunday night, the crowd's going to be a big factor. And if you can push them back 5 yards here and there, that gives the Detroit defense a little bit of help, and they're going to need all the help they can get versus that offense. But Detroit is so good at controlling the clock, having those drives, winning time of possession. They did it against San Francisco last week, 34 minutes to 26 minutes. If they can do that again this week, control the ground game, control the clock, and limit the exposure of their defense, I think they can do it. I think they can
Man,
win.
what a football game. You know, you have to wonder, this is, how is Sam Darnold going to perform on the road in his biggest game in his NFL career? Detroit have sort of been there, and, they've been in big games over the past couple of years. To put in context, guys, how big this game is, because the winner obviously is going to have the 1 seed and a bye in the NFC. The loser will fall all the way to 5. And in the modern format, since 1978, the 1 seed has made the Super Bowl 49 times. 5 seeds have made the Super Bowl 3 times. That's how big of a difference. That's what's at stake in this game. 49 times the 1 seed, 3 times the 5 seed only. Not win, just make the Super Bowl, Cam.
That's fascinating. That is a stat, and that's the thing.
Yeah, 1 to
Football,
5. Man.
Yeah. No Cinderellas, Gabe. We talk about this. In other sports, you get those 7-game series.
I told you, football, man, no, it doesn't happen.
It's different. No. All the cream of the crop in college, too.
Unless
all
you're
blue
Tom
blood
Brady.
in college. Yeah, exactly. TB, he's his own guy.
And you're Bill Belichick, and you somehow managed to get the Rams' first 40 plays of the game. I don't know. Other than that, somehow, I don't know how you did it, but you did.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes with the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest up. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say, he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3 here. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. The Friday Night Free Show countdown to kickoff is on NFL football on Saturday. Big game Saturday night. Listen, it's a big game for the Ravens to win and clinch the division. And as I stated, that'll have an impact on the Pittsburgh Steelers' thoughts on the football game on Saturday night against the Bengals. I brought up, though, a couple of player bonuses. Like, this is big money. Von Miller, $1.5 million. He needs one sack. You know, if they like him, they're going to unleash him and let him get that sack, right? So, like, $1.5 million. Here's another one. I sort of like ones. This is a good one because they need to win the football game as well. This is also a lot of money. It's $200,000. So Cortland Sutton, $200,000 for 82. Here's the big ones here. Yeah, Geno Smith. They're going to get this for him too. Like, McDonald likes Geno. They're going to say, sure, whatever, dude. It's a meaningless football game. Geno Smith gets $2 million, Cam, to throw for 185 yards.
Beautiful.
Like,
I think he has
he's passing your crap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to throw it. Like, they like him, and they're bringing him back. So, like, it's a lot of money to screw him over with. Like, $2 million. It's not $200,000. It's like, listen, it's $200K. Don't worry about it. Like, it's $2 million.
They have another
Mike Evans gets $2 million. Get this, sorry, $3 million for Mike Evans. He needs 5 receptions and 85 yards. And they need the game, too. You know, Baker's going to jam him early with 5 quick receptions. Boom, 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 to get it out of the way. And he'll rack up the yards. Trust me, he'll want the $3 million. Like, there's other ones where it's like, settle down, Tony Pollard. You get about your $250K. Like,
hey, yeah,
you know what I mean?
83.5.
We don't care if we piss you off. Like, you got to think, like, will the organization, you want to piss the player off or not? Like, if you're the Bucs, Cam, you don't want to piss Mike Evans off. Like, get him his damn 5 catches early. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And Geno Smith, I think, has an additional bonus if he throws for over 240 on top of that one, too, Gabe. It's like double incentive. But you know what, Tony? That's the best. You're like, $250,000 for Pollard. Who cares? I'm like,
settle down, Tony.
Hey, Tony, $250,000 still good. You can buy.
Be like, listen, we just gave you $84 million for 3 years or whatever. Right? You already get paid.
Gabe, I'm a cheap Scot. I want $250K. Give me 84 rushing yards, you jerk. Just hand off the ball. Tennessee sucks.
Well, I guarantee you, Joe, the owners, there's some cheap owners that don't want it to happen. They're cringing during the game knowing this son of a bitch quarterback's making this happen. Like, Ryan Fitzpatrick used to be known for it. Fitzpatrick would look this stuff up on his own, and he wouldn't tell the player until, like, the game in the huddle and stuff, and he'd look up. He'd be like, hey, bro. I got you. I know what you need. And Fitzpatrick would tell him, listen, I'm going to throw you the ball like 3 times in a row to get it out of the way. And he just did it.
Like, how's it work? How's this stuff work against the salary cap? I always wondered that. Like,
I'm the last person to ask about capology.
No offense.
I mean, some teams don't seem to have caps, right? The Rams sign whoever they want all the time, and other teams, we have money against the caps. I don't know. It's like targeting. So let me ask you, Joe. Speaking of which, I see you were tweeting about the college football playoffs. Hey, targeting has always been one of the most controversial things about college football officiating. What are your thoughts on it? And then moving forward to the college football playoffs, what do you think of the officiating overall?
Well, I can tell you this because I just looked it up before I got on here. The crew that did the Sugar Bowl yesterday are doing the Texas-Ohio State game, the Cotton Bowl.
So the crew that did the Georgia-Notre Dame game yesterday.
Correct, and they were very flag happy with defensive. They were very flag happy with defensive pass interference. I can tell you that much. As it pertains to the targeting, it's a dumb rule. I never really understood it. That was clearly targeting in the Arizona State game. Whether the referees wanted to stay out of the way and let the players decide it, I don't know. But it was clearly targeting. It probably cost Arizona State the game. What else can you say?
You know, though, people complain no matter what, though, right? Like, people say, you got to call it, and then other people are like, you got to let them play. I'm more of the let them play stuff. Unless it's completely blatant, it's like, dude, whatever. The kid's coming in a million miles an hour. It's the game of his life, right? You know what I mean? Like, you've got to sort of put it in context, but some referees don't care about the timing of it. Others do. Joe Gibbs, NFL Ref Stats 1 on X, and Sharp Football. Joe's a sharp guy. Joe, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Happy New Year. Have a good night.
All right, there's Joe Gibbs with us. Not the coach, but the referee.
Great handle. Yeah.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their third straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes with the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Great stuff as always with our man Joe Gibbs. Great information with the referee stuff. If you go to his account and Sharp Football, but he posted all on his Twitter X. It's extremely detailed. Like we can't fully get into it, but a good example. So Minnesota and Detroit, Brad Rogers' crew co-ranked number 1 for defensive pass interference and number 1 for offensive pass interference. No crews have called more offensive pass interference in the past 3 years than this crew. They focused on the perimeter on the field at a higher rate than most crews. Divisional home teams, 19 and 15 against the spread in Rogers' career. Rogers, 20 and 14 to the over in division matchups. And we've got our first goal of the hockey game in Vancouver, and it's the home team that scores. The Vancouver Canucks take a 1-0 lead on the Nashville Predators. 13 seconds in. That's a quick goal. Oh, no, but now, no. Oh, no. Referees reviewing something, doesn't like the look of something. What are you bitching about?
You pulled to me, Gabe.
No, I don't know what they're. I have no idea. No. I got no idea what. Oh, okay, let me see. Okay, now let me see the replay one more time here. So now I see. Joshua flattened the goalie. Now I kind of see, but he got pushed into him.
That's an issue. See, that's the thing. If you're a defenseman and you're always protecting the goalies all the time, if a guy hits you into the goalie,
and Saros is a little dude, Cam. The guy's he's a little dude. Like, come on, bro. That was
is
garbage.
The smallest goalie in the league. For people that don't know, you see Saros barely like
anything would knock him over. He was already down too. Basically, he was already down, and then Joshua and the defenseman fell on top of him, and the puck was already going in. God, I hate that. They're going to score, maybe. Oh, God.
You played goal. And let me tell you, I've never seen, like, even goaltenders, like Biron, TSL, this goaltender interference stuff is crap. Guys used to go in front of the net and screen the goalie. Like, you can give him a Billy Smith, you can give him a little hack, but now these guys flopping and players hitting them in, it's a strategy. These guys, they've ruined it. Hockey used to be that way. It's always the goalie gets the benefit of the call. It's BS. Especially when
if I was a goalie, I would just flop all the time in the crease.
Why not?
I'm gonna call it.
They'll give you the benefit of the call. They won't give a guy that got a stick to his head and falls over the goalie. What a joke. Anyway, whatever. This game
Talkett really didn't argue that much. Maybe I'm just more upset because we bet on them like you, but
Yes.
it is what it is. They scored, and they didn't count it, so there's no goal. They did put it in the net, and I think it was a garbage call, but got to live with it. Let's bring in Mr. Rob Vino. Rob, always a pleasure, my man. Happy New Year. Thanks for taking the time to be with us, Rob. How you doing?
Happy New Year to you guys. I'm doing good tonight. How's everybody?
Doing all right, Rob. Actually, you know what? I got my eye now on this Marquette Creighton game. Time to start switching over to college basketball a little bit. And, you know, to start the year, when college basketball started, college basketball, I always said this, it's like baseball. It's like a Mexican soap opera. You got to follow it every day, right? You can't just jump in. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff is going to change, plot lines. It's like baseball, right? Like that's what makes football so popular with the casual betting public. It's once a week, right? They handicap the game. You know what I mean? Baseball every day, and what happened last night, you know, counters into, they used the bullpen, this guy, and that, this, and that, it went this many innings, and so many different things happen. Everything is sort of correlated. It's the same thing with me with college basketball. It's harder to just sort of jump in. So when the season started, I made kind of not a conscious effort, but from day one, I was watching everything, and I was betting a couple of games a day, and I was doing really well. And then the bowl season came along, Rob. And I can't lie. I kind of abandoned college basketball a bit. I was just so obsessed with these bad teams playing in fun bowl games. And now I got to jump back on the college basketball train. But so far, so good tonight. I bet the over of the Iowa game. Over in the Iowa game tonight. Sailed over the number. And we bet Georgetown on the money line. Georgetown beat Xavier tonight. And now I've got Creighton plus 9.5, down 5 with $1.20 left. How active is your college basketball betting so far right now?
It sounds exactly like yours, and it's been by design the last couple of years, Gabe. I actually very, very slow from end of October to the end of December, and then pick it up at the start of January when we've got everything narrowed down as far as college football is concerned, as far as NFL heading into the playoffs. And so basically I'm picking it up at conference time now. It wound up just being too much every single day with these tournaments all over the place, and college football on a Saturday playing 55 games and college basketball playing 95 games. I'm like, what am I doing here?
And NFL games on every day. On Wednesdays and Thursdays and Mondays.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, my personal preference is the football, college football. I love, and so I generally will follow. And then, of course, the FCS playoffs pick up, Gabe, and I watch that during the year. So that's another thing you're adding in there. But I'll be active now. I mean, I have some surface knowledge of a bunch of these teams watching early on, and then. But to your point, Gabe, it does change because college basketball becomes two different seasons: the non-conference season with these tournaments and stuff, and then the conference season where things really start to heat up. And I'd be interested tonight to see. I didn't play it, but I want to see how this Nevada-New Mexico game goes in the pit. Little Patino and Steve Alford. That Nevada team just hasn't scored a lot lately, so we're going to see how that one goes, and we'll be ready to jump in.
I'll say this, Rob, one thing, and for everybody out there, I've been telling people this isn't the old school Bo Ryan, Wisconsin Badgers offense anymore. No. Right? Like, this is an over team, and Iowa want to just run. And it's funny, Rob and Cam, how about the football, Rob? Iowa basketball and football, two completely different things, huh? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Iowa basketball is just shoot the three. And they rack up points. And then, Iowa football, although ironically, Iowa football was a good over team this year. So, yeah, speaking of which, let's jump into that. The FCS College Football Championship game will be on live Monday night at the back end of this football game. It starts at 7 o'clock, so, yeah, we'll be coming on sort of as it's ending. Montana State, 3-point favorites in this game against the power that is North Dakota State. It's been pretty clear. Montana State are the best team in FCS. Like, all they need to do now, Rob, is finish it off and win this football game against one of their arch rival, North Dakota State Bison here, laying 3. It's hard to want to get in front of Montana State, isn't it? With all due respect to North Dakota State. They're not playing in the Fargo Dome now. And Montana State are the best team in this division in FCS.
Yeah, and I think they have been for a little bit now, but it's not. We're not saying that it's a significant gap. Obviously, it's pretty close between the four that played last week. I think when you have South Dakota State, we saw how that game ended with North Dakota State. Very, very close game. South Dakota probably the one last or a couple weeks ago that maybe lacked a little bit on the defensive side and couldn't hang in the end with Montana State. But the quarterback play here, Gabe, and this year, I don't know how you feel, but this championship game to me just has a totally different feel. Normally I'm going in here with the thought of defense is going to rule. And now you're staring at Tommy Mellott for Montana State and Cam Miller for the other side, two great quarterbacks, two great high-powered offenses, and it doesn't look like anybody can stop offense in the FCS, even the elites right now.
Good call, Rob.
Yeah, I'm going to be betting the over. Total is 56.5 in this game. As we stated, the Bison are getting 3. Montana State are -3. More with Rob Bino on the other side. Let's roll this in Sports Rage.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM, Channel 159. The awesome Rob Vino kicking it with us right now. Cam Stewart in the house. Tony Finn will join us a little bit later on. And Tony actually surprised me, guys. Tony was, and you'll like this, Cam, but you'll like this as well, Rob. Tony Finn had like hot hockey takes. See Tony Finn
Really?
like, talking about take the Las Vegas Golden Knights in game. Their power play is clicking, and he's had he's tweeting hockey stuff. And then I saw he was actually at the game in the arena. He went to the Las Vegas Golden Knight Montreal Canadiens game the other day.
Hey, I
Rob,
burst this bubble. You took
very
Montreal
surprising.
live down 2-0. The Canadians came back and won as like a 6-1 dog. No offense to our boy Tony Finn, but Montreal was the
He should
play,
stay away
friend.
from hockey.
Yes, Tony, stay. College hoops. Baseball. That's about it. Vegas looks so good. Montreal. Yay! 6-1 live.
Well, I love Tony, but Tony's tweet was it was 2-0 after the first period, and Tony recommended Vegas minus 4.5 pucks at like plus 500 or something. And that was his play. He goes, Montreal are showing nothing. Vegas wins 5-0 or something like that. He said the Canadians came back and won the game. They won the game 3-2.
Amazing.
Yeah, so for the record, too, what do you think, Rob? And let me check the weather right now. So, weather is always such a factor in these FCS games. But the championship game is in Frisco, Texas. So it's not, it's not in Montana State, North Dakota State, etc. And Monday in Frisco, Texas, it's going to be 37 degrees and sunny, 11-mile-an-hour winds, Rob. So weather should not be a factor in this football game.
No, that's like August on the East Coast for those guys, 37 degrees.
Plus for these teams, North Dakota State and Montana, these kids are used to playing cold to begin with.
Might as well be 75 for them.
They'll be in T-shirts, no sleeves for sure, like everybody.
Yeah.
Big time.
It is crazy. I mean, like I was saying earlier, the amount of offense that we've seen out of these good teams, and they played some good defenses. Nobody can stop anybody, really. Trey Lance's little brother, wide receiver on North Dakota State. I think Bryce Lance been very, very good. Running games are solid. I would expect we see points, Gabe. You said you're on over. I'll be on over. I think we're looking at 56.5 here. I wouldn't be surprised at a 31-27 game. And I think they're taking it out of Frisco after this year. They're renovating that stadium. It's going to be somewhere else the following season. But it's been more of an offensive season for these elite FCS teams.
And man, I tell you what, Montana State have been they've been a great football team this year. It's going to be a fun game. Monday night, 7:00 Eastern time. And as we stated, normally they play on home fields all the way through the playoffs in their format of the playoffs. Montana State coming off a 31-17 win against South Dakota. They smashed Idaho 52-19. They beat UT Martin 49-17. Regular season, they beat Montana 34-11. Like I said, they've had some dominant wins throughout the year. They just need to finish it off right now and win the national championship. One more bowl game, Rob, not college football playoffs, but one more bowl game, the Bahamas Bowl. And I saw the live shot today. They were, during the promo of what, the Mayo Bowl or whatever. And they showed the weather at Atlantis. And, we've seen tropical storms there and stuff in the past, but it was just one of those picture-perfect sunny days in the Bahamas. And I was thinking to myself, what did Buffalo and or Liberty to deserve to go to the Bahamas? Like, I don't understand why better teams don't want to go there. Like, you're going to Montgomery, Alabama and stuff like that. You're going to, like, all these weird places to play, Boise, Idaho to play a bowl game. And then these kids end up getting the Bahamas trip. Buffalo were actually 3-point favorites in this game, Rob. The total is 50. Any opinion on the final bowl of Bowl Mania season?
Yeah, and I find it so hard to get to the Buffalo side, but maybe I shouldn't because of the opt-outs and because of the personnel here. I really don't want to lay 3.5 with them against Liberty. I do think, though, Gabe, 50.5 seems kind of shy to me as far as the total is concerned. Again, the key number of 51, whenever it's available to cash a ticket, I'd look that way first. You talked about the weather here. It's funny, too, that stadium is like a, I don't know, it's like a high school place with aluminum bleachers and whatnot. It's crazy.
There's a track around. It's like a track and field, a little mini track and field stadium.
It's so bad. I'm like, the Bahamas, you can't get a better. It's amateur night, Gabe. I remember me and Gabe were watching the UAB game with Ohio Bobcats. I'm like, what the hell's going on? It was awful, Rob. Like, no decorations, no nothing. It was a dump. Yeah, it was dump.
They're
And a
running
lot of
the.
times there is like a tropical storm. It's like a hurricane going on during the game.
Yeah.
When it's right, we've seen Western Kentucky go down there and put up some huge numbers. We've seen some huge number of games in the Bahamas Bowl. I just think 51's too low, Gabe. Buffalo's capable of scoring. I have to believe that Liberty, even as depleted as they are, personnel-wise, no Caden Salter, that's the biggest thing. I think they'll be able to find their way to points as well. The MAC just wasn't a good conference this year. Not that they ever are, but they're down there with the CUSA, both of these conferences. So I think I'm going to be on over 50.5. I didn't make a play yet, but I think I will be there by the time this thing, probably by the time we get off the air here. How about that?
I will say this though, Rob. The MAC is actually the second-ranked team in bowls right now. They seem to show up like they're that team that you beat up, but they've been great. I was telling Gabe, like, look at the ACC. You want to talk about bowl losers? They're 2-11. They stink.
Yeah, horrendous.
It's hard though to take Buffalo -3.
Hey, I know it is, Gabe. I know. Liberty. How many guys are they playing? How many guys are out?
Like they're not a lot. Like Liberty, their quarterback is gone. Their star running back is gone. And, their offense didn't really click that much, Liberty, this year.
Right.
It was all the Cooley kid, the running back. Salter is a good quarterback, but the offense, it, Rob, wasn't the same Liberty team this year. Remember earlier in the year, they're always trailing games. They just, they can only really run the football. Right, so I guess they don't have 3 starting offensive line, 2 starting offensive linemen, starting running back, starting quarterback, starting defensive back out for Liberty. With all that being stated, Buffalo are not a good team. We're not.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes, the ankle. Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. Won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. A.M. to 11 a.m.
Man, there's been some psychotic numbers on the board this week. Was it last night? I think it was. It was the last night. I don't know. It's hard to keep up. All these days are just sort of a blur, through the holiday. But the Illinois, was the Illinois Duck game last night, Rob, or 2 nights ago?
It was
2 nights ago.
Last night.
It was last night.
Last night we were on. Yeah.
Yeah. They ended, dude. I missed the original. I was like, damn, I should have bet the original 157.5. too. They ended up dropping 109 on them. When it was like 10, they ended up scoring like it was like 109 to 81. They hung a college team hung 109 on the board, and now tonight, guys, this Sacramento-Memphis game is ridiculous. The in-game total is 271.5. Although Sacramento are starting to pull away a little bit, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not jumping in on the in-game. Memphis are shorthanded, back end of a road trip. They're down by 15. If this gets out of hand, it could tap out. We did bet the over of the Hawks and the Laker game. Right now it's currently 240.5. Lakers are up 51-46 with a little under 6 minutes remaining. Dear God, it's up to 274.5, that total. New Mexico and Nevada just started 6-4. Yeah, you know, though, it bothers me, guys, that I'm not in on it now. It's as an over better. It's like, damn, I can't believe I'm not part of this party right now. But Nevada and New Mexico have just started. So, Rob, you were just talking about speculative gambling, and, you know, you jumped in on the Atlanta Hawk team total, believing that Trae Young was going to play and that Johnson was going to play. And it's so difficult this week in sports, and it's like every sport. You know, college bowl games, who's playing? Oh, NHL hockey. Oh, Quinn Hughes and Pedersen are out for the Canucks, and Demko's like every hockey, you know, basketball, whatever, every sport. What about tomorrow night with the Cincinnati Bengals? Because the Ravens are going to win tomorrow afternoon, and the game's going to be meaningless for the Pittsburgh Steelers, other than the fact that Tomlin doesn't want to lose 4 games in a row going into the playoffs. Yet, you know, I don't know, maybe it's better for them that Justin Fields is on the field late in the second half or whatever in this football game. But speculative betting here, do you think this number could move? Like, if you like Cincinnati and Baltimore win, I think a lot of people are going to clue in that Pittsburgh could rest people in this game.
Yeah, they certainly could, Gabe, and that's the way you'd have to look at it. You expect Baltimore, they're a 20.5-point favorite in some locations, now 20.5. You figure they're going to win.
Can we take the Browns, Rob? The Browns, like John Lovitz? I hear John Lovitz.
Yeah.
Browns.
The Browns defense looks riveting, Gary.
Yeah. I always call this week 18 when it comes out to stuff like this, Gabe, with these teams that are in playoff contention. It becomes like a first half bettor's paradise. You got to play these first halves knowing that guys are going to get pulled in the second half. Where Cincinnati-Pittsburgh is concerned, if you think Pittsburgh's going to lay down, then the Charger game doesn't have that much appeal. But if you think Pittsburgh's going to win, you would probably want to get in on Las Vegas right now, because if Pittsburgh wins, then the Chargers don't have to play anybody tomorrow, you know? So a lot rides on Tomlin here. As you said, speculative. Cincinnati's going all out to win this game. They don't really have a shot, I don't think, of getting into the playoffs, but they're still going to play the game and put the pressure on Miami and Denver. I wanted to get to the over, but I'm just afraid that maybe Pittsburgh doesn't care enough to score.
No, but here's
points.
the deal,
That's
guys.
the
This is actually big because Pittsburgh, obviously Baltimore is going to win the first game. If Pittsburgh beats Cincinnati, they go to Houston instead of playing Baltimore.
Yeah, that's the difference. That's correct.
Yeah. Sorry, I'd rather go on the road to Houston than play the Baltimore Ravens. They want to win the game against Cincinnati.
Yeah, but do you risk your star? Do you risk injury to do it?
Yes. Houston Texans are awful. Like, Baltimore's wicked. Like, that's a big difference. I would rather go on the road in Houston and beat their ass than play. Gabe, you know the Ravens are good now. Like, they're slick. They're
I'm not disputing that.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I think Tomlin.
To your point,
I also
Cam,
don't think they want to go into the playoffs losing games. Like, they need to get that edge back.
Yes.
Don't you think?
That's true. And it's Mike Tomlin, right? I mean, if there's anybody that resembles Dan Campbell, it's Mike Tomlin. Those two guys are a different breed. To your point, the same argument can be made, and I played this one using that argument. I played Green Bay first half. If Green Bay, you know, they and Washington both play at 1 o'clock East on Sunday. If Green Bay could find that 6 seed is coveted. That 6 seed means you go on the road to play either Tampa or you go to SoFi to play the Rams. But if you end up 7 where Green Bay is right now, then you have to go to Philadelphia. And to your point, Cam, that's a huge difference. You want Tampa or LA, or you want Philadelphia? Obviously, you want Tampa or LA. So Washington should play hard. Green Bay should play hard, at least early on.
We'll wrap up with Rob Bino on the other side, and we'll bring one of his colleagues in. Tony Finn, bring it.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their third straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes with the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say, he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. The Nashville Predators have just scored. Frustrating. 3 minutes left in the first period of play. Vancouver scored 13 seconds into the period. The goal didn't count. Then Vancouver all over them all period, and it was unstoppable. Buddy just teed one up, a one-timer from 8 feet away. It was actually a really nice goal. And 1-0 Predators right now. Rob Vino in the house. We're going to bring in Tony Finn in a couple of minutes. But just quickly, and speaking of these, hypothetical this and that, Rob, I've got numbers. I went over them last night a little bit, but we got playoff numbers for the matchups. So you could get in on this now, people, if you wanted to. The Buffalo Bills, 7.5-point favorites against the Denver Broncos, total 47.5. The Detroit Lions, 3.5-point favorites in Los Angeles against the Rams, 55.5. The Packers at the Eagles. This is, Rob, what I want to bring up to you. There's serious concerns as far as Jalen Hurts right now. And the playoffs start next week. They don't have a bye. They're going to be playing in the playoffs next week. Their quarterback, you got your starting quarterback and your backup quarterback is beat up in Philadelphia right now. And the Eagles are only 2.5-point favorites against the Green Bay Packers in a hypothetical matchup, but there is a point spread up for it right now.
Those 3 games, Gabe, I was writing them down as you said them. Without question, I would be on Buffalo -7.5. Denver's fraudulent. Without question, I'd be on Lions, Rams over 55. I don't see why you don't get there. And under a field goal, I would play Philadelphia. Green Bay's road work isn't that great. And that offensive line for Philadelphia, I think, would move them out and root them out and get Saquon his yardage and pass well. So I would be on those 3. Buffalo with ease, the Detroit Rams over, and Philly -2.5 if I saw those lines, and they were bettable.
Other point spreads are the Chargers, if they play the Ravens, are 6.5-point underdogs in Baltimore, 49.5. If the Chargers play the Texans, the Chargers are 1.5-point road favorites in Houston, 44.5 is the total. The Minnesota Vikings are 2.5-point favorites at the Rams, 47.5. I can't believe the Lion total is 55.5, but the Viking total would be 47.5. Kind of like the over in the Viking-Ram matchup. The loser could end up playing the Rams. Probably how that's going to play out. The Rams are rolling over, guys, and the Bucs need the win. So the Rams don't seem to care about playing the Vikings or Lions. They're not even playing their starters. The Ravens would be 7.5-point favorites against the Steelers. That is up right now, 47.5. Steelers are 1.5-point underdogs at Houston, over under 43.5. And finally, in closing, this would be a super fun game. The Washington Commanders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs -2.5, total 49.5. Hard to bet that under, Rob. That's screaming over at us.
Yeah, absolutely. Too low. Again, 51's available. You would look for that game to land on that number. 27-24, very, very reasonable is what the odds makers kind of pointing at. So, yeah, I would be there. The one underdog out of what you mentioned there, Gabe, Pittsburgh +7.5 against Baltimore. I might have to be in on that +7.5 with the Steelers in a AFC North slugfest. I think that's too heavy.
Another thing,
right,
Rob,
finally,
Gabe, you remember they were going to. Russell Wilson had that run going in for a touchdown fumbles. It changed the whole facet of that game when Baltimore played Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was playing pretty good, right? Like, you know what I mean? They were a big underdog there, and I'm with you. I think that, Gabe, don't you think that's too many points? Like, you got to ask Baltimore to win by 8 against a team that they know inside out. It's a lot of
especially points. Baltimore haven't been the same in the playoffs over the years either.
Correct.
So, suddenly things change and tighten up in playoff games. So Thursday and Friday, we're not going to be on, Rob, next Friday night. So this is our crack at it right now. We'll see you online. I look forward to your opinions throughout the week. But Notre Dame's up to -2 right now against Penn State on Thursday night in Miami. Total is 47, and Ohio State are laying 6. This number really hasn't moved. They're laying 6 to the Horns Friday night in Arlington, Texas. Total 53.5 in that football game. The totals pretty much went the way we thought. The Boise game didn't get there with Penn State, but we talked about the Texas game getting there. We knew the Rose Bowl would get there, and we didn't. We thought that the Notre Dame-Georgia game was actually the lower scoring football game of them all. What do you think about the Final Four now?
Well, and to just preface it, I haven't played anything yet. I think the general line of thinking here, Notre Dame being favored over Penn State, is Notre Dame beat the SEC team. Penn State beat a couple of teams that they were basically double-digit favorites against and should have beat. It's probably why Notre Dame's favorite. Ohio State, Texas, I would just caution the Ohio State love affair right now with the fact that they played 2 defenses of Texas caliber. Michigan, Gabe, shut Ohio State down and beat them. And Penn State, for all intent and purposes, kept Ohio State quiet the whole game. And Texas sits right there in that type of defensive ability. Getting 6, I see it's been bet down now in some spots, or at least one spot, to 5.5. I can understand why a little bit of Texas money came in. They didn't look sharp after getting 2 huge leads and letting off the gas pedal. I'm not a fan of Quinn Ewers either. We talked about this quarterback play in this tournament. These quarterbacks are not good. They're just not good. Will Howard, very good. The other 3, I don't trust as far as I could throw them. Don't trust Riley Leonard unless he's running the football. Don't trust Drew Aller against a good defense at all. And really don't trust Quinn Ewers. So Will Howard, to me, is the number 1 quarterback available here.
Rob Vino, wagertalk.com. Rob, any words for one of your colleagues, Tony Finn, that's about to join us right now?
You got to love him. Tony, I know you're a big fan of, I think it's Clean the Glass, an NBA website, but it's not a hockey website, buddy. Clean the Glass is not a hockey website. But rattle off the basketball stuff, pal. He's a great basketball handicapper.
I will take the minus 4.5. That was the best game with a 2-0 lead.
All right, we'll see. We'll see if Tony Finn's wearing the same color shirt as Rob and Cam is tonight as well. Thank you, Rob.
Have a good one, Gary.
Always a pleasure.
Later.
Let's bring in Tony Finn right now. And Tony, I was talking about you posting hockey thoughts from the Las Vegas Golden Knight game the other day.
Yes,
Tony's a hockey capper now. You were talking about Canadians no life in the first period, laid a 4.5 with the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Montreal Canadiens came back and won the game 3-2.
Yep.
Yeah, as soon as I posted, Vegas caught whatever virus.
Whatever
the hell.
We were joking earlier, Rob. We were saying, stick to the college basketball, Tony. No hockey.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I will. I always have. I mean, I like hockey. I do like hockey, and I like going and sitting in those suites because the red wine tastes like some of the best California Napa comes around, and the Jack and Coke isn't too bad either. And the food is good too. And it's thanks to, Terribles Gaming, free compliments of Terribles Gaming. And
you're a high roller with Terribles. Hey, that's your crew.
I love Terribles.
Hooking you up with sweets and
I had one of my Gabe, I wanted to
he's cashing in his Terribles VIP points.
I love Terribles. They actually have a wicked steak deal too, Morency. It's not a joke. Like I thought it was going to be like shoe leather, but I'm like, Terribles is solid, man. That's my joint. Like I used to hang out there. I love it.
They're expanding. They're expanding their gaming. So
not terrible.
My wife made a switch from Golden to it's Terribles Gaming. So she works for that company now. Yeah, that's how we're getting those tickets. They got some pretty nice. The seats are really fantastic. Those sweet seats, and like I said, the food's good. The Knights are playing pretty good. Other than as soon as I open my mouth.
That's the only game they lost, Gabe, in like $1 million. And Finn went to the game they lost to Montreal. Other than that, they're on a heater.
Yeah, you know what though? I was going to warn you. The Montreal Canadiens are the one team that the Vegas Golden Knights struggle with for whatever reason.
That's true.
It's true.
The Canadiens beat them in the semifinals years ago, and Vegas were like 14-1 favorites in the series and stuff. And like, the Canadiens beat them. It's one, Vegas have lost in Montreal a lot over the years for whatever reason. So it was one of those games going in. I was like, I think the Canadiens are live dogs here against. They always beat Vegas. And I was like, I'm glad I didn't take it 2-0. And I saw you tweeting about saying take Vegas -4.5 plus 550.
I don't get the strip off.
The Canadiens lost tonight. You were a day late, dollar short.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their third straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes, the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
All right, we got quite the games going on right now on the hardwood. The Sacramento Kings are up 96-91 on the Memphis Grizzlies, but there's still 3:44 left in the third quarter of play. I haven't jumped in on any in-game totals yet. The total's 268.5 right now. Scoring is slowed down. Like, they couldn't keep that pace up. So I'm going to wait to see if it dips a little bit more. And then maybe, I'm waiting for a value number. Doesn't feel right yet. We got the over 231.5 of the Hawks and Lakers. They're at the half right now. 65-57 for the Lakers. Lakers actually 6-1 straight up in their last 7 games Hawks have been kind of streaky. They go on these winning streaks and losing streaks. I thought this game would be a higher scoring game. Nice pace so far. Tony, any opinion on the Mountain West game? If it is still the Mountain West with all these conferences. Northern Illinois joined the Mountain West today. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, doesn't it? Well, none of these conferences.
Northern Illinois.
Are you kidding me, Gabe? The Northern Illinois Huskies
you believe that? Northern
West?
Illinois they put a knife in the Mac's back and left for the Mountain West, bro. Gonna fly through. What are we doing here? Northern Illinois, the Mac.
We've hit rock bottom. I thought you were punking me. Northern Illinois, Mountain West. That's like
yeah.
What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense.
They announced it just a couple hours earlier in the day. It's official. Northern Illinois joined the Mountain West. Football only, but football only for now.
Football only.
Still stupid.
Yeah,
still
right.
stupid. Bad move.
I won't surprise me if they join the Mountain West in basketball either. They're capable in both sports. They're always.
Well, why don't they? I'll give them an idea. Just save instead of plucking teams and ruining everything for everybody like they always do. If you want to do it, do like a mini, sort of like what the Big Ten and the Pac-12 did with a sort of like national merger takeover. Do it on a smaller scale and merge the MAC and Mountain West. Brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm.
Start playing each other, share the TV deal, then suddenly you have a bigger geographical pie and you can sell the networks. We got games on in Ohio. We got games on in Wyoming. We got games on in California, right? And the TV networks will like that. But instead, they'll just be short-sighted and just start to, invade teams. And now that Northern Illinois leaves, how long until someone else in the MAC doesn't say, you know what, Central Michigan, why don't we join too now? We're going to leave too. It never ends.
And I like the MAC.
But
I know. And I like
the MAC doesn't have money, though. That was Northern Illinois said we didn't want to do this, but financially we just couldn't turn it down.
Right. I think, any opportunity a school like the MAC or a school in the MAC has to join. The Mountain West is not a power conference, but any opportunity to join a power conference, one of the super conferences to be.
The Buffalo Bulls going to join the Big Ten.
Exactly, Gabe. Buffalo versus Michigan. I got to tell you this, though. We've gone way too far now. This is stupid. Oregon State and Washington State. So why don't we just have independence then? We're going to play big team, money team, Alabama, this and that, because the conferences don't make any sense anymore. You just have big teams play big teams, losers play losers. It's not that difficult.
Well, if you're going to be an independent, you better be able to create revenue streams to support yourself.
And what do you do, Gabe? It's a joke now. It's nonsense. It's so bad.
No, you know what's crazy though? It's crazy though. Like the school presidents bitch. Oh, it's out of control. The players leave all the time, and the coaches leave, and no one has loyalty. You guys leave the damn conferences you're in. You don't have any loyalty either. No one does. We're in an era right now where you just wave. They're like hookers. Basically, you wave some money, and these college athletic directors will come running. And in hindsight, I hope it was worth it. You at USC and UCLA to go to the Big Ten and get your ass kicked and fly around the country. You'll never be the dominant teams in the conference. You'll all live to regret it.
These hookers aren't satisfying the needs. They're not good
They're
hookers.
worse than I trust hookers more than these athletic directors.
I'd rather give a hooker money than these turkeys moving conferences. I'm with you, Morency. Enough is enough.
Besides the Vegas ones that steal your watches and stuff like that every day. I don't know why these guys don't learn, Tony. Stop wearing watches. You know what I'm saying?
That's another thing.
Who wears watches?
The best is, hey, Tony, I'm feeling groggy. What's your safe combination? 0.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
It's every day. I read the Vegas papers. It's every day. You see,
there goes my Adderall. There goes my senior citizens Adderall. Gone.
I love you, Tony.
All right, Tony.
Awesome.
You're on top of. I know you're on top of the college basketball. So, any opinion on the Nevada-New Mexico game right now? 22-17 for the Lobos over Nevada. 7 minutes left in the first half. In-game total 145.5. New Mexico are currently 8.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I would be on Nevada. First off, let me tell you right now, what Nevada does well is they shoot the three ball well. What does New Mexico not do well? They don't defend the three very well. This is in the pit, but But it's a conference game. Nevada's capable. I thought that was I thought 6 was too many points. Give me the 8.5 right now.
Yeah, you know what? I'm tempted by the plus 8.5. We jumped in on Creighton plus 9.5 in game and cashed the ticket. They lost by 7. Some big college basketball games tomorrow. Florida and Kentucky, 8 a.m. Pacific time, Vegas time. Florida and Kentucky. Kentucky 3-point favorites, total 167. Tony, Georgia and Ole Miss on the board. Yeah. Arkansas and Tennessee. Some early SEC action in the morning. Anything catch your eye?
Yeah, I would be. Listen, Kentucky anything -3. In Rupp against really a good Florida team, right? An undefeated 13-0 Florida team, I think. Is that right? At 6-0? 0-0 in the SEC, 13-0 overall. I believe that's the case. I still like Kentucky at home.
Yeah, 13-0. Yeah, they're undefeated still.
Yeah.
The SEC is a better basketball conference than football conference. They always are SEC football. Like basketball, they are dominant. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You watch these SEC teams play, and they look like NBA teams. Like, damn, they're athletic. Like, well, they really are.
Like the Big 12, right? Like the old Big 12 or the used to be Big 12, which was up and down the floor and scoring a ton of points. You're right.
Gabe, if you and Tony want to wake up and watch this Buffalo Liberty game, it's 8 bells for you guys. It's 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock in the morning for Pacific. Ooh, that's early.
Same with these basketball games, yeah.
Yeah,
it's okay. I got no white wine on the radar tonight. Just Coca-Cola, so I'll be ready to go.
Oh, white wine, a heavy underdog.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes, the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. Won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
This is SportsRage, quickest 120 minutes in sports talk and television. We really do only have a couple of minutes left right now. 102-100. We're on the Sacramento Kings. The fourth quarter just started. They're already at 202 points. In-game total has come all the way down. Think about it. We didn't bite at 274.5, and it's come down all the way from 274.5 to 259.5. Now it almost feels like, we're getting close to jumping in. Like I need it to come down a little bit more, but we're getting there. Lakers off to a strong start here in the second half. They've extended their lead. They've outscored them 5-0 in the first minute, actually. They're suddenly up by 13, in-game total 236.5. And we got a close one. Like Tony said, Nevada, live dog, they were getting 8.5. Now it's 6.5, what the number was before the game. And it's 26-22. Tony,
Gabe,
before we get...
I'll just say quickly, Penn State and Notre Dame are playing NCAA hockey. They're in a shootout. Foreshadowing? Crazy. Penn State, Notre Dame, tied? Shootout?
That's at Wrigley Field, that game right now.
Cool. That's
really?
amazing.
That's outdoors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a nice college series.
Ohio State beat Michigan earlier tonight, 4-3.
Michigan was up 2-0, Gabe. Ohio State was huge live. Michigan scored 2 early, and then that was bad news for you. For Wolverines.
Michigan are struggling a little bit on the ice. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games. They didn't play in 2 weeks. They took off all these kids. The NCAA took the holiday because of the World Juniors and the holidays and stuff. So it was their first game in a couple of weeks. But Ohio State are actually a good hockey team. They're hot too. Ohio State have beaten a lot of the top teams in the country. I hate to admit it. Ohio State are good at hockey. Tomorrow, Tony, I like the Cincinnati Bengals tomorrow night. Sunday, I like the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills backups will beat the Patriots. And also, we'll see how the Patriots handle this, being so close to the top, having the top pick of the draft. They will try to win because the coach probably knows he's going to get fired, so he'll probably try to screw them on the way out. So, remember Lovie Smith did that to the Houston Texans. Yes. He knew he was getting fired, and he won the last game, and he got fired right after, and he screwed them for the top pick of the draft. But I think the Bills are going to beat them. The Chiefs. I'm actually going to take your Chiefs plus 10.5 against the Broncos and hope for the best.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think you take the points in that game. I mean, it's in Denver. The Chiefs aren't going to lay down. And in this day and age, the bye weeks or these games that supposedly don't matter, when you have a 53-man roster, you can't sit everyone. So the Chiefs are talented enough defensively to stay in that game at 10.5 points. I'm with you. Give me the 10.5 points. I like the Bengals tomorrow. Look, the game's really interesting, guys. We're talking about it's going to feel like 15, 30-mile-an-hour gusts in Pittsburgh, 16 degrees in the ketchup bottle. We know kicking is tough to do when there's no wind hardly at all, and that swirls in there. So interesting game tomorrow night for certain. It really plays a big part in what happens on Sunday, who tries on Sunday, maybe who doesn't try on Sunday. It'll affect the Chiefs and Denver game.
And also, so does Baltimore, though. If Baltimore wins, correct. It could change Pittsburgh's attitude on Saturday night about things, right, as the game goes on.
Absolutely right. Yeah, it's fun. You got to really be careful. It's dynamic.
Oh, I hate the last week of the season. It's like betting on bowl games. You know what I mean? With you're hoping. Just quickly on this, Tony. The UCLA Bruins, another team off to a great start, 11-2. You were talking about Florida at 13-0. Mick Cronin's got these guys balling. They beat Gonzaga the other night. Now, speaking of this new conference stuff, we got a Big Ten matchup. UCLA at Nebraska. Big Ten basketball.
Interesting.
Tomorrow afternoon. Yet Nebraska are also – and Nebraska have always been a really good home team, but Nebraska are also 11-2 on the season. Any thoughts on who wins that game?
Well, I'll say this. I think you have to be wary of Nebraska, and I think you need to start paying attention to Nebraska because the mayor has now been in that system about these are his guys. It's not like 3 years ago when he took over a team that was dog dirt, and it's a difficult task for UCLA to travel into Lincoln, Nebraska, right, and play the mayor and these Cornhuskers who will play hard. Absolutely, I would be.
Tony,
I'll be on the home team there.
I don't know if it's by design, but I noticed you got a Mahomes. You got Mahomes up there. You got a San Diego Jersey up there. All the teams that are like the arch enemy of my teams.
It's a good point. He's doing it. He's poking the bear.
Dodgers big rival San Diego.
I like it.
Buffalo, he's got Mahomes patting Allen on the head.
I like it. I actually like Tony. Tony's he's gone heel on you.
Will work.
That's a nice shot. Nice shot.
Will work for Quaalude.
This year, it'll be the same picture, but Josh, other than that, you're on your own later.